Here we are at the IWC booth at Hong Kong's Watches and Wonders, and I have the great privilege to be chatting to Mr. David Seyffer, the curator of the IWC Museum.
Thank you, Felix.
Great to talk to you. And what we've got to talk about today is, of course, the one and the only IWC Portugieser. It's the newest watch. We love the annual calendar. We love the limited edition 75th anniversary pieces. But where did this watch come from, David? Can you tell us a little bit about the origin of the Portugieser?
The word Portugieser came from really two Portuguese merchants.
Yep.
They went to Schaffhausen. They asked for a watch. They asked for a highly precise watch, and in those days it was only possible to make it happen with a pocket watch movement. So what IWC did at the end of the day, they combined a pocket watch movement with a huge case for a wristwatch. And this was really the birth of the Portugieser watch.
And that was the reference 325?
This was the famous reference 325, but the first time that the reference 325 was mentioned in the books, it was about 1940,
okay.
A couple of days later.
Days later or years later?
Years later, excuse me.
No, that's okay. And so in 1939, this watch is born for this very specific needs. Was it a commercial hit? Did it sell out?
Unfortunately not, but there are several reasons. Okay, one of the reasons probably was that the watch was too big.
Sure.
For the times there when people were used to watches with a diameter of 35 millimeters.
Yep.
On the other side, remember, this was the day of the First World War. I mean, the world faced other problems,
yeah.
And so for Switzerland, even neutral in this conflict, it was not that easy to find markets. So we were very happy in those days that even the Portuguese, they wanted the watches, and of course we sold them to them. But I can tell you a thing, it was not before 1942 the Portuguese market received the watches, and we show here two examples of the really first Portuguese watches that were sold to Ukraine. Not to Portugal, but to Ukraine.
Why is it not called the Ukrainia?
Yeah, but because these people, for coincidence, received the watches, and the Portuguese was really the drivers. So, Portugieser watch, this is what we wanted to pay tribute to them.
And if we can flash forward, sort of 50 years to the early 90s, this watch, it was born in 1939 and it had a rebirth in 1993. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, this was a quite interesting story because it was also a circumstance, I would call it. In a meeting, the members of the board, they were talking, chatting with each other, and one of them, he had an original Portugieser reference 325, and then someone said, wow, this is a cool piece. We should do this again. And this sentence, we should do this again, it came to Günther Blümlein, former CEO, it came to Hannes Pantley, marketing director, and those people were looking for a special watch for collectors for 125 years of IWC, which we celebrated in 1993.
Yep.
And so the things went on.
Yep.
We made a limited edition. We wanted to show out to sell it only to collectors, but a lot of people, they wanted to purchase the watch, and it becomes really a hit.
So this was the first big watch of the big watch trend. It was this 1993 that kicked it off.
I really think so, because even in the 1990s you have the 35 millimeters, probably 38 millimeters, and then this watch came with 41 millimeters, 42 millimeters in diameter, and so probably here was IWC a trendsetter. But it fits. The size, the style, everything was perfect.
It's historically accurate. The original was that size, and so is the new one. If you had to describe the Portugieser in 3 words, what are the 3 things about the watch that are most instantly recognizable or most important?
The dial, as I said, the Arabic numerals, the rail track seconds, and I would say the puristic character. It's, if you see a dial of a Portugieser watch, even on perpetual calendar, it's clean,
Yeah, okay.
This Bauhaus style, I would call it, which was born in the 1930s. You see it, directly.
It's part of the watch.
It's part of the watch, and it has been, and I hope, and I guess it will be also.